Good morning and welcome to the sermon summary from yesterday at the Lordship Church, and I hope you had a blessed day wherever you were at. And we have been talking about the cross. This whole month we'll be preaching a series of sermons on the cross of Christ. And yesterday we talked about the cross meaning the power of God. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians, Paul says that it is the power of God, the Christ, that the cross of Christ is the power of God. If you lack spiritual power in your life, it's because you don't have fuel for the fire. And the Bible talks about it. Jesus said in the Garden of Gethsemane, "Not my will, but thine be done." And then he willingly went on the cross for you and for me. Surrender is saying, I have messed up my life. I give in. And not my will, but your will, God. And then there's sacrifice. Sacrifice is actually doing the will of God, even though it doesn't make sense, even though it's not logical. Prayer, spending time in prayer every day. Our minds think that we should be doing things. We think that we can get more accomplished if we're up and doing things. And prayer is not easy. It is a battle. But that's a part of the surrender and sacrifice, because God has asked us to pray. And now when we do it, we sacrifice and we spend time in His presence. Oh, it's a joy to be in God's presence, don't get me wrong. But it goes against our nature. Waiting on God. The Bible says, they that wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. How many of us wait on God? That's sacrificing self and your desires, the fleshly desires. Folks, the cross demands a decision. And that decision is either you're going to serve God or serve self. There's no discussion. As we talked about it last week, it's not a negotiation. It's a decision. Take it or leave it. And that's the challenge. Sometimes we come to God and we say, okay, I want your salvation, but you got to give me this, this, and this. Okay, but and it's like we're negotiating back and forth. There is no negotiation. Your life cannot be a negotiation with God. You can't do what you want to do and still surrender to the cross. So I challenge you. One of the things we talked about last night was the spiritual power. You and I were created by God to experience supernatural power. We're created in God's image. God is a powerful, powerful God. Just the spoken word created the worlds. So God's power manifest in our lives is something that should be normal for us. We crave that. And when we don't get that in our spiritual walk, we look to other things to satisfy that need, that craving, that desire, that thirst that God created in us. A supernatural move of God. Some of you will remember back to the day when you were at the altar and praying, and I remember as a young person, just a move of the Spirit of God just swept over the place, and people were crying and worshiping and weeping and confessing, and it was awesome. It was great. It was incredible. But we don't see that too much anymore because we decided to negotiate with God. We'll give you an hour and a half of church on Sunday if we can just do what we want to do with the rest of our lives. And that's not the way it works, my friend. There's a lot of people sitting in church today that will not be in heaven. The Bible says there's a lot of people going to say, Lord, 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 don't you know me? Do you remember what I did? And da-da-da-da. And God's going to say, I don't know you because you didn't accept me as is. The cross demands a decision, but the cross is power. It is the power of God. Paul said, I didn't come with kind of clever words and wisdom and all kinds of this. And today we could translate it and say, I didn't come to you with flashing lights and light shows and sound systems that are a mile long and decorated buildings and all kinds of coffee and cappuccino and all this kind of stuff. I didn't come to you with all that, but I came to you with the message of the cross and a powerful demonstration of God's power. That's what you and I need. We were created for it. Are you getting that? You need sacrifice. He needs surrender. It's the fuel for the fire. And as living sacrifices on the altar, surrendering our lives before God, that's when the fire begins to bring power. And the power of God is evident in your life. You can have that. Take sacrifice and surrender. God bless you. Have a great day.